Science officer Nexara had always been curious by nature, and her fascination with the human stasis technology proved to be a fatal mistake. While examining the cryogenic systems in the sealed underground chambers, she accidentally triggered an automated sequence that began powering up several of the dormant pods. The first sign of trouble came when emergency lighting activated throughout the lower levels. Systems that had remained dormant for centuries suddenly hummed to life as ancient protocols engaged. The stasis pods began their revival cycles with mechanical precision that suggested the humans had designed them to function independently for extended periods. Commander Vexthul ordered an immediate evacuation, but it was already too late. The revival process had begun, and attempting to interrupt it might kill whoever was inside the pods. The team could only watch as temperature gauges slowly climbed and life support systems engaged to bring the occupants back to consciousness. First pod to complete its cycle contained a human male who appeared to be middle-aged based on his physical features. His identification tag read Dr. Rick Stevens, and according to the personnel files he had been the colony's chief geneticist working directly under Ben Carter on Project Lazarus. Stevens awakened slowly, his eyes opening to focus on the strange alien faces surrounding his pod. He showed no fear or surprise at seeing the Zephyrian team instead displaying a calm alertness that seemed unnatural for someone who had been unconscious for centuries. Rick spoke in the human language, but somehow the words were immediately understandable to the Zephyrian team, as if their universal translators were working more efficiently than usual. He asked about the date and location, showing remarkable composure for someone discovering that centuries had passed since his stasis began. Kiranal ran her medical scanners over Rick, and the readings showed biological activity far beyond normal, parameters for any known species. His cellular regeneration rate was extraordinary, and his muscle density was nearly 3 times what should be possible for a being of his size. When Rick stood up from the stasis pod, his movements displayed strength and coordination that defied explanation. He lifted the heavy pod lid with one hand while balancing perfectly. Despite having been unconscious for hundreds of years, his reflexes seemed enhanced to superhuman levels. The human began asking questions about their species and their ship with an intensity that made the team uncomfortable. He wanted to know about their technology, their home world, and their military capabilities. Rick claimed scientific curiosity, but his questions seemed more like an interrogation than casual conversation. More stasis pods throughout the facility began their awakening sequences triggered by automated systems that Rick seemed to understand intuitively. He explained that the pods were programmed to activate in groups when the first revival was successful. This had been a safety measure to ensure the enhanced humans would not awaken alone and defenseless. Nexara tried to access the facility computers to halt the revival process, but Rick intervened with surprising speed. His hand moved faster than Zephyrian reflexes could track, and he disabled her equipment without seeming to exert any effort. The casual display of enhanced capabilities sent chills through the team. Rick began sharing fragments of his memories about the final days of New Haven. He spoke of the artifact discovery and the enhancement project with enthusiasm that suggested he still believed in their goals. The genetic modifications had been voluntary. He insisted and represented the next step in human evolution. The enhanced humans had not been monsters, Rick claimed, but rather pioneers exploring the boundaries of biological possibility. The normal colonists had simply lacked the vision to appreciate what they were becoming. Fear and ignorance had led to the tragic decision to put them in stasis. As more pods completed their cycles, other enhanced humans began awakening. Each individual displayed similar capabilities to Rick, along with an unsettling unity of purpose. They moved with coordinated precision and communicated through subtle gestures that suggested some form of enhanced group consciousness. The newly awakened humans showed remarkable ability to understand their current situation. They quickly grasped that they were on an alien ship and that centuries had passed since New Haven was abandoned. Rather than showing distress, they seemed to view this as an opportunity. Rick demonstrated his enhanced adaptive abilities by analyzing the alien atmosphere and adjusting his metabolism to function efficiently in the different gas mixture. His body temperature fluctuated as his internal systems optimized for the new environment. The process took only minutes and seemed to require no conscious effort. The enhanced humans began exploring their surroundings with systematic thoroughness. They examined every piece of technology they encountered, absorbing information at an accelerated rate that suggested enhanced mental capabilities along with their physical improvements. Zorax attempted to establish security protocols, but the enhanced humans moved too quickly and unpredictably for standard containment procedures. They did not seem hostile, but their behavior suggested they were evaluating potential threats and escape routes with military precision. One of the newly awakened humans identified herself as former military commander Lisa Grant. According to the personnel records, she had been among the first volunteers for the enhancement program and had shown remarkable leadership abilities even before her modifications. Lisa began organizing the other enhanced humans with efficient authority. She assigned roles and responsibilities as if they were preparing for a mission rather than recovering. From centuries in stasis, her tactical thinking appeared to be operating on multiple levels simultaneously. The enhanced humans discovered that their bodies could process the alien environment more efficiently than anyone had expected. They required less oxygen than normal humans and could metabolize trace elements from the atmosphere to supplement their energy requirements. Rick revealed that the enhancement process had fundamentally altered human biology in ways the original scientists had not fully understood. The alien artifact had not simply improved existing capabilities, but had unlocked dormant genetic potential that allowed for rapid adaptation to new environments. The implications became clear to Commander Vexthul as he watched. The enhanced humans adapt to their situation. These beings were not simply improved humans, but rather something entirely new. They possessed capabilities that could make them dominant over any species they encountered. The enhanced humans showed increasing interest in the Zephyrian ship and technology. Lisa Grant asked detailed questions about faster-than-light travel and weapon systems while maintaining a friendly demeanor that fooled no one. Her tactical assessment of their situation was clearly ongoing as more stasis pods activated. The number of awakened enhanced humans grew steadily. Each new individual added to their collective knowledge and capabilities. The group dynamic suggested a level of cooperation and coordination that went beyond normal social behavior. The Zephyrian team realized they had made a terrible mistake in triggering the revival process. The enhanced humans were not simply dangerous individuals, but represented an existential threat to any civilization. They encountered their abilities and mindset made them apex predators in any environment. Rick explained that the original colonists had misunderstood the nature of their enhancements. The changes were not just physical, but involved fundamental alterations to human survival instincts and social behavior. The enhanced humans were designed by evolution and alien influence to dominate and consume other forms of life. The facility continued to awaken more enhanced humans as automated systems followed their programmed protocols. The Zephyrian team found themselves outnumbered by beings whose capabilities far exceeded their own and whose intentions remained ominously unclear in the growing darkness of the underground complex. Science Officer Nexara had always been curious by nature, and her fascination with the human stasis technology proved to be a fatal mistake. While examining the cryogenic systems in the sealed underground chambers, she accidentally triggered an automated sequence that began powering up several of the dormant pods. The first sign of trouble came when emergency lighting activated throughout the lower levels. Systems that had remained dormant for centuries suddenly hummed to life as ancient protocols engaged. The stasis pods began their revival cycles with mechanical precision that suggested the humans had designed them to function independently for extended periods. Commander Vextel ordered an immediate evacuation, but it was already too late. The revival process had begun, and attempting to interrupt it might kill whoever was inside the pods. The team could only watch as temperature gauges slowly climbed and life support systems engaged to bring the occupants back to consciousness. First pod to complete its cycle contained a human male who appeared to be middle-aged based on his physical features. His identification tag read Dr. Rick Stevens, and according to the personnel files he had been the colony's chief geneticist working directly under Ben Carter on Project Lazarus. Stevens awakened, slowly his eyes opening to focus on the strange alien faces surrounding his pod. He showed no fear or surprise at seeing the Zephyrian team, instead displaying a calm alertness that seemed unnatural for someone who had been unconscious for centuries. Rick spoke in the human language, but somehow the words were immediately understandable to the Zephyrian team, as if their universal translators were working more efficiently than usual. He asked about the date and location, showing remarkable composure for someone discovering that centuries had passed since his stasis began. Kiranal ran her medical scanners over Rick, and the readings showed biological activity far beyond normal, parameters for any known species. His cellular regeneration rate was extraordinary, and his muscle density was nearly 3 times what should be possible for a being of his size. When Rick stood up from the stasis pod, his movements displayed strength and coordination that defied explanation. He lifted the heavy pod lid with one hand while balancing perfectly. Despite having been unconscious for hundreds of years, his reflexes seemed enhanced to superhuman levels. The human began asking questions about their species and their ship with an intensity that made the team uncomfortable. He wanted to know about their technology, their home world, and their military capabilities. Rick claimed scientific curiosity, but his questions seemed more like an interrogation than casual conversation. More stasis pods throughout the facility began their awakening sequences triggered by automated systems that Rick seemed to understand intuitively. He explained that the pods were programmed to activate in groups when the first revival was successful. This had been a safety measure to ensure the enhanced humans would not awaken alone and defenseless. Nexara tried to access the facility computers to halt the revival process, but Rick intervened with surprising speed. His hand moved faster than Zephyrian reflexes could track, and he disabled her equipment without seeming to exert any effort. The casual display of enhanced capabilities sent chills through the team. Rick began sharing fragments of his memories about the final days of New Haven. He spoke of the artifact discovery and the enhancement project with enthusiasm that suggested he still believed in their goals. The genetic modifications had been voluntary, he insisted, and represented the next step in human evolution. The enhanced humans had not been monsters Rick claimed, but rather pioneers exploring the boundaries of biological possibility. The normal colonists had simply lacked the vision to appreciate what they were becoming. Fear and ignorance had led to the tragic decision to put them in stasis. As more pods completed their cycles, other enhanced humans began awakening. Each individual displayed similar capabilities to Rick, along with an unsettling unity of purpose. They move. The next morning brought new discoveries that made the Zephyrian team increasingly uncomfortable. Dr. Kiranal had spent the night analyzing the biological samples she found in the medical facility, and her results raised disturbing questions about what the human colonists had been doing in their final months. The DNA samples showed signs of deliberate modification. Genetic sequences had been altered in ways that suggested advanced bioengineering far beyond what the early colonial logs had indicated. The humans possessed. The modifications appeared designed to enhance physical capabilities and cellular regeneration, but the methods used were unlike anything in Zephyrian scientific databases. Kiranal discovered a hidden laboratory behind what appeared to be a storage room. The concealed entrance required specific access codes that Nexara managed to extract from the computer systems. Inside, they found equipment designed for genetic manipulation and biological enhancement. The laboratory had been hastily abandoned with experiments left incomplete. Research notes scattered throughout the laboratory bore the name Ben Carter, who appeared to have been the colony's chief scientist. His handwriting covered dozens of tablets describing attempts to enhance human capability beyond natural limits. The notes referenced something called Project Lazarus, which seemed to be the focus of the colony's final months. Carter had documented successful trials on volunteers who showed remarkable improvements in strength, endurance, and healing ability. The enhanced individuals could survive in harsh environments that would kill normal humans. Their bodies adapted to radiation exposure, extreme temperatures, and atmospheric changes with unprecedented speed, but the notes also revealed growing concerns among the scientific team. The enhanced humans began displaying behavioral changes that worried the researchers. They became increasingly aggressive and showed reduced empathy toward unmodified colonists. Some volunteers requested to have their enhancements reversed, but Carter noted that the process appeared to be irreversible. Zorax found security footage from the laboratories that showed the enhanced humans in action. Their physical capabilities were indeed remarkable. They could lift objects weighing several tons, move with incredible speed, and heal from injuries that should have been fatal. The footage showed them adapting to various environmental challenges as if their bodies could automatically adjust to any threat. However, later security recordings revealed disturbing incidents. Enhanced humans had begun consuming biological material from other sources to maintain their abilities. They started with laboratory animals, but the footage showed them eyeing unmodified colonists with increasing interest. The colony leadership had become alarmed by these developments. Nexara discovered that the underground complex extended much deeper than the surface scans had indicated, multiple levels stretched down into the moon's core with massive chambers designed for purposes that remained unclear. The energy readings were strongest from these lower levels, suggesting that whatever powered the colony originated from deep underground. The team found evidence of hasty construction in the lower levels. Blast doors had been installed at strategic points throughout the complex, and the access tunnels showed signs of deliberate sealing. The colonists had clearly been trying to contain something, but the nature of the threat remained unclear. In what appeared to be colony leader Jake Morrison's private office, they found detailed reports about the discovery that had led to Project Lazarus. The humans had been mining in the moon's lower levels when they discovered an artificial structure that predated their arrival by millions of years. The structure appeared to be of alien origin, though not built by any species the humans recognized. The technology was beyond their understanding, but somehow influenced biological matter in ways that enhanced cellular function. The humans had initially approached it with scientific curiosity, but their investigation had led to unintended consequences. Morrison reports described attempts to study the alien artifact using remote sensing equipment. The structure seemed to respond to biological presence by emitting energy patterns that affected living tissue. The effects were initially beneficial, causing accelerated healing and enhanced physical performance in test subjects. The Colonial Council had debated whether to continue the research. Morrison had been cautious, but scientist Ben Carter argued that the discovery could revolutionize human biology and ensure the colony's long-term survival. The potential benefits seemed too important to ignore, despite the unknown risks involved. As research continued, the artifact seemed to become more active. The energy emissions grew stronger and began affecting colonists even without direct exposure. People living in the upper levels started showing enhanced capabilities similar to the volunteers in Carter Laboratory, but without having agreed to any modifications. The situation had spiraled beyond the scientists' control. Enhanced humans began forming groups separate from the normal colonists. They viewed themselves as evolved beings destined to replace ordinary humans. The colony leadership realized they were facing an existential crisis that threatened their entire society. Security Chief Susan Walsh final reports painted a picture of growing civil conflict. Enhanced humans had begun making demands for resources and territory within the colony. They argued that their superior capabilities entitled them to leadership positions and greater shares of food and equipment. The enhanced individuals had also begun showing concerning interest in reproduction. They wanted to create offspring with their enhanced genetics, but preliminary studies suggested their children might be even more dramatically altered. The possibility of creating a subspecies that could eventually replace normal humans terrified the colonial leadership. Morrison had ordered the enhanced humans to be isolated in special quarters, while the scientists worked on understanding and potentially reversing their condition. But the enhanced individuals proved impossible to contain. Their abilities allowed them to break through security measures and move freely throughout the colony. The final security footage showed colony leader Susan Walsh addressing the remaining normal colonists. She spoke of desperate measures needed to contain what they had unleashed. Her face showed the strain of command decisions that would determine the fate of everyone in New Haven. Walsh had developed a plan to trick the enhanced humans into entering stasis pods by convincing them it was a temporary measure while scientists worked on improving their enhancements further. The enhanced individuals had agreed, believing they would be awakened to lead an improved human colony. The last recordings showed normal colonists working frantically to seal the underground levels and prepare for evacuation. Walsh had decided that New Haven could not be saved, and that the only hope was to prevent the enhanced humans from ever reaching other human settlements. As the Zephyrian team processed this information, they realized they had discovered something far more dangerous than an abandoned colony. The humans had accidentally created something that could threaten the entire galaxy and then made the ultimate sacrifice to contain it. The question was whether their containment measures would hold forever. The Zephyrian exploration vessel. Stellar wind drifted through the cold darkness of space like a silver needle threading through black fabric. Commander Vexthul stood on the bridge watching the sensors display strange readings from the moon below. The energy signatures made no sense. According to their star charts, this barren rock should have been lifeless for millions of years. The moon orbited a dead gas giant in the outer rim of the Kepler system, where no intelligent species had ever been recorded. Vexthul adjusted his breathing apparatus and studied the data streams flowing across the holographic displays. His pale blue skin rippled with concern as the numbers continued to climb. Science Officer Nexara approached with her tablet. Showing detailed scans of the surface, she pointed to several anomalous readings buried beneath centuries of dust and debris. The patterns suggested artificial structures, something that should not exist in this forgotten corner of space. Vexthul made the decision to investigate personally. He selected a small team of specialists for the surface mission. Dr. Kiranal, the expedition's xenobiologist, would study any biological traces they might find. Lieutenant Zorax would handle security and technical analysis, while Nexara would continue her scientific observations. The shuttle descended through the thin atmosphere toward coordinates where the energy readings were strongest. The landscape below looked like countless other dead worlds. They had surveyed gray rock formations covered in fine dust, with no signs of water or vegetation. The only difference was the faint energy signature pulsing from somewhere underground. They landed near what appeared to be natural rock formations, but closer inspection revealed artificial construction hidden beneath accumulated sediment. Zorax used his plasma cutter to clear away debris, exposing metal panels and sealed doorways. The architecture was unfamiliar but clearly showed intelligent. Design Kiranal ran her biological scanners over the exposed surfaces and detected traces of organic compounds that had somehow survived the harsh environment. The reading suggested these structures had once housed living beings, though the species remained unknown. They found an entrance partially buried under a rock slide. Zorax cleared the obstruction, revealing a heavy door marked with strange symbols. The metal showed signs of advanced alloy composition far beyond what most species achieved in their early space exploration phases. Inside the structures, the team discovered a settlement that had been abandoned in haste. Personal belongings lay scattered throughout the rooms, as if the inhabitants had left suddenly. Equipment still hummed, with residual power from some unknown energy source, suggesting the evacuation had happened relatively recently in cosmic terms. Nexara identified the architectural style as belonging to a bipedal species roughly the same size as Zephyrians. The furniture and doorways supported this theory. The technology level appeared advanced, but not beyond anything the Zephyrian Council had encountered before. What puzzled them was the location. No known spacefaring species had colonies this far from major trade routes. They moved deeper into the complex, discovering what appeared to be a central command center. Banks of computers lined the walls, displaying information in an unknown language. The power systems still functioned, drawing energy from an unidentified source somewhere beneath the facility. Kiranal found biological samples in what looked like a medical facility. The DNA patterns were completely foreign to their xenobiological databases. The genetic structure showed remarkable complexity. with redundant systems that suggested either natural evolution under extreme conditions or artificial enhancement. Zorax located what appeared to be personal quarters filled with clothing and personal items designed for beings with 5-digit appendages, and a body structure similar to humans, though they had no reference for that species at the time. The materials were surprisingly durable, having survived the harsh environment for what appeared to be several centuries. The most significant discovery came when Nexara found the settlement's data core. The computer systems used quantum storage matrices similar to Zephyrian technology, but with subtle differences that suggested independent development. The files were encrypted, but she managed to access basic operational logs. The settlement was called New Haven and had housed approximately 2,000 individuals. The logs referenced a parent ship called Pioneer Dream that had delivered the colonists to this moon. The dates indicated the settlement had been established over 400 years ago during a period when the Zephyrian Council had no knowledge of this region of space. Commander Vexthul studied the translated logs with growing fascination. The colonists had called themselves humans and had traveled from a planet called Earth, located in what they referred to as the Sol system. The journey had taken them over a century in their generation ship before they selected this moon as their new home. The early logs showed typical colonial challenges establishing power systems, growing food in artificial environments, and dealing with equipment failures. The colonists appeared to have been remarkably adaptable, overcoming each obstacle with innovative solutions. Their technology advanced rapidly as they modified their equipment to better suit local conditions. For decades, the colony had thrived. The population grew through natural reproduction, and the settlement expanded with new sections being constructed underground to provide protection from radiation and micrometeorite impacts. The humans had developed sustainable systems that should have supported them indefinitely. The logs painted a picture of a successful colony with a stable government led by someone called Jake Morrison. The humans had established mining operations to extract useful minerals from the moon and had begun early terraforming experiments in sealed environments. They appeared to be planning long-term expansion to other worlds in the system, but something had changed in the final months. The tone of the logs became increasingly urgent. References appeared to experiments being conducted in sealed sections of the underground complex. The colonists spoke of breakthrough discoveries that would change their future, but the details remained vague and coded. Jake Morrison final entries spoke of sleepers awakening and urgent preparations for an unspecified threat. The colony leadership had made difficult decisions to ensure their people's survival, but the nature of the threat remained unclear. The last entry simply stated that they were implementing emergency protocols and sealing certain sections of the facility. Vexthul ordered his team to search for more information about these final days. The humans had clearly encountered something that forced them to abandon their successful colony, but what could have driven an entire population to flee from their home? The answer seemed to lie somewhere in the sealed sections Morrison had mentioned as. Night fell on the dead moon. The Zephyrian team set up temporary shelter in the human facility. The energy readings from deeper underground continued to pulse with steady rhythm, suggesting that whatever the colonists had discovered was still active. After 4 centuries, the mystery of New Haven was just beginning to unfold. Commander Lisa Grant stood in the center of the facility as more stasis pods opened around her, revealing dozens of enhanced humans emerging from their centuries-long sleep. Each awakening brought new capabilities to their growing collective, and their behavior became increasingly coordinated as if they shared some form of group intelligence. The Zephyrian team watched in growing horror as the enhanced humans began demonstrating abilities that defied all known biological laws. Rick Stevens showed them how his body could adapt to environmental threats in real time. When Zorax attempted to use a stun weapon on him, Rick's skin developed resistance to the energy discharge within seconds. Dr. Kiranal discovered that the enhanced humans were not just physically superior, but had undergone fundamental changes to their basic survival instincts. Normal human empathy and social cooperation had been replaced with predatory behavior focused entirely on survival and dominance. Their enhanced minds calculated every interaction in terms of potential advantage. Lisa Grant began explaining their true nature to the terrified Zephyrian team. The enhancement process had not been a simple genetic modification, but rather a complete reconstruction of human biology. The alien artifact deep in the moon's core had provided the template for creating what she called the next stage of evolution. The enhanced humans required massive amounts of biological energy to maintain their accelerated metabolisms and healing abilities. During the colony's final months, they had initially sustained themselves through laboratory-grown nutrients, but those resources had quickly proven insufficient for their growing needs. Grant revealed that the enhanced humans had discovered they could absorb biological energy directly from other living beings. The process was initially voluntary, with normal colonists offering themselves as donors to support their enhanced neighbors. But the hunger had grown beyond what volunteers could satisfy. Rick Stevens demonstrated the absorption process using one of the smaller alien organisms they had found in the facility. His hand glowed with a faint energy field as he touched the creature, and within moments it withered away completely. Its biological energy had been transferred to Rick, who visibly grew stronger from the process. The enhanced humans explained that normal humans had eventually become their primary food source. The absorption process did not require killing the donor immediately, but gradually drained their life force over several days. The victims remained conscious throughout the process, experiencing their bodies slowly failing as their energy was consumed. Colonial records that the team had missed earlier revealed the true horror of New Haven's final months. Enhanced humans had begun organizing hunting parties to capture normal colonists for feeding purposes. They justified their actions as necessary for the survival of the superior. Subspecies colony leader Jake Morrison's final logs described desperate attempts to negotiate with the enhanced humans who viewed normal colonists as livestock rather than fellow beings. The enhanced individuals had lost all connection to their former human identity, viewing themselves as apex predators destined to consume lesser life forms. Susan Walsh had discovered that the enhanced humans were planning to use the colony's ships to spread throughout human space. They intended to establish feeding colonies on other worlds where they could breed and multiply while consuming the normal human populations that had created them. The Zephyrian team found evidence of breeding experiments conducted by the enhanced humans in their final weeks. They had been attempting to create offspring with even more dramatic enhancements. The preliminary results suggested their children would be born as pure predators, with no capacity for empathy or cooperation with unenhanced beings. Lisa Grant explained that their species no longer recognized normal humans as the same life form. They viewed them as a primitive ancestor species that had served its purpose by creating the enhanced humans, but was now obsolete. The natural next step was complete replacement through consumption. The enhanced humans had agreed to enter stasis, not because they believed the normal colonists' promises about future awakening, but because they recognized the tactical advantage of waiting for better opportunities. They had always planned to eventually consume their creators once circumstances were more favorable. Rick Stevens began analyzing the Zephyrian biology with disturbing interest. He explained that alien species would provide even more biological energy than humans. Due to their different evolutionary adaptations, the enhanced humans could potentially sustain themselves indefinitely by consuming various alien life forms. The facility's deeper levels contained thousands more stasis pods holding enhanced humans that had been created during the project's accelerated final phase. The normal colonists had managed to trick only the first few hundred into stasis before being forced to evacuate. The remaining enhanced humans were presumably still in the lower chambers. Lisa Grant organized her awakened followers into hunting groups designed to capture the Zephyrian team members for feeding purposes. Their enhanced speed and strength made escape nearly impossible. The aliens found themselves trapped in a facility designed to contain beings far less dangerous than what now pursued them. The enhanced humans demonstrated their ability to coordinate perfectly without verbal communication. They moved as a unified organism, sharing sensory information and tactical data through subtle biochemical signals. Their group hunting behavior was more efficient than anything in Zephyrian military databases. Zorax attempted to send a distress signal to their ship, but the enhanced humans had already anticipated. This strategy, Rick Stevens revealed that they had been monitoring all Zephyrian communications since awakening and had learned to interpret their technology through observation. The horror of the situation became fully clear when the enhanced humans began discussing their plans for the Zephyrian home worlds. They viewed the aliens as an excellent food source that could sustain their species for thousands of years while they spread throughout the galaxy. Lisa Grant explained that enhanced humans could survive in space for extended periods by entering a hibernation state that required minimal energy. Their bodies could adapt to radiation and extreme temperatures, making them nearly impossible to contain or destroy using conventional methods. Zephyrian team realized they were not just facing a few dangerous individuals, but rather a species specifically evolved to consume and replace other intelligent life forms. The enhanced humans represented an existential threat to every civilization. In the galaxy, Dr. Kiranel's final scans revealed that the enhanced humans were still changing and adapting even after awakening from stasis. Their bodies continued to evolve in response to new environmental challenges, suggesting they could eventually adapt to any conditions they encountered. The facility's automated systems continued awakening more enhanced humans following protocols established centuries ago. The normal colonists had designed the stasis systems to be completely automated, but had never anticipated that the enhanced humans would eventually gain control of their own revival process. As darkness fell in the underground complex, the Zephyrian team found themselves surrounded by predators whose capabilities grew stronger. With each passing hour, the enhanced humans had successfully hidden their true nature from their creators until it was too late, and now they prepared to repeat that deception on a galactic scale.